Lesson 8.5 is going to be solving multiple step equations with the distributive property. We've discussed the distributive property, what it deals with. It deals with multiplication. It is a number next to a set of parentheses, and we draw those arrows in the problem to indicate the multiplication happening. So today you could be actually faced with 5 steps. First step that you have is to get rid of the parentheses, meaning actually distribute. Now, we've had problems where one side is totally being multiplied by a number. Today, both sides are going to be multiplied by a number. So what you need to go ahead is do exactly what it says here in step 1 and distribute. So get rid of the parentheses by distributing on each side. Secondly, is to combine like terms. So CLT. And again, we've done that. The like terms, add them together. Third step is to get the variable on one side of the equation, and you do this by adding or subtracting. Do the inverse. If it's a positive 4x, you need to subtract 4x. Fourth step is to get rid of any addition or subtraction to the side with the variable. So once you get the variable on the one side, you need to get rid of any addition or subtraction on that side with the variable. And your fifth and final step, and you could have 5 steps today, so we're adding all these steps together, is to get rid of any multiplication or division done to the variable itself. Alright, our first example, we have 6 parentheses d minus 2 plus 8 equals negative 4d. In this problem, we need to go ahead and do exactly what they said in step 1, is take care of your distributive property. So let's go ahead and do that. We have 6 times d is going to give us 6d, and 6 times this is a negative 2 would give us negative 12 or minus 12, plus 8 equals negative 4d. Step 2 was to combine like terms. Well, on the right side of your equation you only have a negative 4d, so nothing you can combine. On the left side, however, there's 3 terms. You have 6d, a negative 12, and a positive 8. Negative 12 and a positive 8, those are constants, those are like terms, you can combine them. So we need to go ahead and combine those terms for step 2. Working down my paper here, I have 6d, negative 12 plus 8 is negative 4 equals negative 4d. Step 3 is to get the variable on one side, do the inverse. In order to do this, we need to move either 6d or negative 4d. I'm going to go ahead and move 6d. In order to move 6d, it is positive. I need to subtract by 6d. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. Work down the paper here. 6d's would cancel out. I drop down negative 4. Equal sign lines up. Negative 4d take away 6d is negative 10d. Last step is to go ahead and get the variable alone here. So I'm going to do that, and I need to get d by itself. Therefore, I need to divide by negative 10. Divide by negative 10. And I get d equals negative 4 divided by negative 10 is a positive 0.4. Another way that you could write this is really negative 4 over negative 10. It is a fraction. 2 negatives would make a positive. Positive 4/10, which would reduce to 2/5. Either would be acceptable. You could have d equals 0.4, or you could say 2/5. The reason why you could have 0.4 or 2/5, because if you look in this original problem here, there are no fractions or decimals, so I don't care how you get your answer or what your answer is. If it is a fraction or a decimal, I would have both. If in the original problem it had a fraction, then you needed a fraction as an answer. Alright, 6h minus 10 equals 4, parentheses, 8h minus 18. Again, in this one, go ahead, use your distributive property, get rid of the distributive property. So I'm going to drop down 6h minus 10. I need to distribute on the right side. 4 into 8h is 32h. And a 4 into, that is a negative 16, is negative 72. Get the variable on one side. I'm going to go ahead and move 6h. I like moving the smaller numbers here. So minus 6h. Do that to both sides. Work down your paper. Negative 10 will drop down, equals 26h when you take 32, take 6 away. And then we have a negative 72 that drops down. Get your variable alone, so we need to add 72 to both sides. So we get h by itself. Negative 10 plus 72 is 62, equals, drop down 26h, and the 72s would cancel out. Last step here is to get h alone, and you have 26 times h, therefore we need to divide by 26 on both sides. And again, doesn't matter if you had a decimal or a fraction here. So we find out h equals 62 divided by 26 is going to give us 2.4. So h equals 2.4. Example 3, a little bit different than the prior two examples. In example 3, notice the distributive property is on both sides. So you actually need to distribute on both sides. So distribute your 3 and we get 3i. Distribute your 3 into a negative 1, it's a negative 3, equals. Second side, you're distributing a negative 1. So distribute your negative 1. You get a negative 1i, or you can say negative I. Negative 1 into negative 1 is a positive 1. Now you've taken care of the distributive property. Notice up here you cannot combine any like terms on the left or right side. So go ahead and move one of your variables. You can move 3i or you can move I. I'm going to go ahead and move I. In order to move I, I'm going to add I. What I do to one side I must do to the other. 3i plus I is 4i. Negative 3 will drop down. Equal sign lines up. Your i's cancel out here, and we drop 1 down. Get your variable alone. Now we have to get rid of the addition and subtraction. So we need to add 3 to both sides. And we have 4i equals 4. Now, in order to get I alone, 4 is multiplying into I, so we need to divide by 4 on both sides. And we find out I equals 1. Our last problem here, step 4, or problem 4. I want you to go ahead and pause the video and work through this on your own, and then check back in here. So go ahead, pause it, and work through it. Alright, as you can see in the first step, I went ahead and distributed the 6 into n plus 3. That's the first step that you would take. Step 2 would be to combine like terms. Left side, you're able to combine some like terms here, a positive 9 and a positive 18. So I'm going to go ahead and drop down my 6n, and I combine my like terms here. 9 plus 18 is going to go ahead and give me a positive 27. Drop down my right side. Get the variable onto one side. I'm going to go ahead and move 6n, so I'm going to subtract 6n from both sides. I have 27 equals 3n plus 18. Both would drop down. Get the constants on one side and variables on the other. So I need to subtract by 18 on both sides. And I take 27, I take away 18, I get 9. I drop down my 3n. In order to get n alone, I divide both sides by 3. And I find out n equals 3. This will conclude our lesson 8.5, solving multi-step equations with the distributive property.